Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games, of course, one of the real highlights is the STIHL TimberSports National Championships for 2025. I'm Hamish Mackay, commentator extraordinaire, Philip Ropiha. Phil, yesterday, day one, let's just go back to that. Ann Patterson in the women, Matt Gower in the rookie. What a competition we saw yesterday.
Well, we knew it was going to be really good in the women's because we were lining up a three-peat for Ann Patterson, and she didn't disappoint us and made it. But really, that rookies one was absolutely vital because for the first time, Cleveland Cherry, our former champion, was out having to go up to the senior level, and we had an absolute battle royale. And as it came to it between Morgan Bolstad and Matt Gower, right to the last event. And we had a very, very close finish, but absolute congratulations, Matt Gower getting his first rookies title for New Zealand.
Matt Gower and three-peat Patterson in the women's event, but it's the men's open today, day two here in Palmerston North. What can we expect? Well,
we've got the same field almost as last year. We've got a couple of newbies, but really when it comes to the top of the podium last year, you could throw a blanket over them, to quote the great Keith Quinn, with the two Jordan boys who had to be separated by time, and they finished with the same points. And of course, Kyle Lemon, the Sheriff of Murupara, following up just in behind. But we've got Cleveland Cherry for the first time, our rookies champion, stepping up. We've got Chris Lord, who has been a rookies champion, a world champion at that. He's still in the field. And we've got Dylan Clark and we've got Quinton Fawcett also as newbies in this competition. Hayden Rasmussen, second time in. I tell you what, it's looking like a great field and I'm expecting a great competition, Hamish.
The Sheriff of Murupara. Are you Keith Quinn or Bill McLaren?
Well, if I had the right accent, I'd always go for Bill McLaren.
Oh, good stuff. Really looking forward to it here, of course, at the Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games. It is going to be absolutely brilliant, the National Championship for the men in the STIHL TimberSports.
It's Great Britain, all of the European countries, because they're right into this, and of course our cousins across the ditch in Australia. Well, what can we say about New Zealand? 11 STIHL TimberSports World Championship individual titles. That's where the waiting is. That's where we dominate by a long, long way. No one is even close to where we are. No other country. We have 4 STIHL TimberSports World Championship team titles. And to this we add 4 STIHL TimberSports World Trophy victories, and we currently are the victors in that particular discipline. And of course we have a Rookies Championship to our name as well. But New Zealand needs to win back some silverware because right now we only have one of those trophies. The other trophies are shared between the United States and Australia. We want to get them back. We put these guys on the stage to compete for the New Zealand title, gives them the right to go to Europe and compete in the World Championships. And we almost did it last year. Almost, just a whisker away. So we reckon this year, let's see. So today we've got the best, the very best, competing to represent our land in this, which is the original extreme sport. So where does the sport come from? Comes from over 150 years of heritage. In fact, I reckon you could probably go further back than that, but if you consider the lumber that was needed to build the farms, towns, cities and nations of Europe, North America, Australia and New Zealand, originally they would have been felled with axes and saws. It wasn't until 1926 that Andreas STIHL in Germany built the first powered chainsaw. And I guess that's where the whole thing changed. But we bring those original tools back and we compete with them. Because as long as there have been these tools, someone has always strived to be the best and someone has always strived to be the fastest. And today we call that STIHL TimberSports. Righto, we've got some events coming up for you, but we've also got some athletes. Let's welcome them onto the stage so you know who you're going to be watching for the day. First up, let's get some officials on. I'd like to welcome aboard Adam Lowe. So Adam Lowe, our Chief Judge, TimberSports competitor of the time, been in the New Zealand team. One of our judges here from Nelson. Matt Hura. Matt Hura been on the stage as our judges for the last few years. He is from Auckland. Right, let's bring on our competitors that you are going to be watching today. First up, a quarry manager from Otorohanga, Chris Lord. Chris Lord was in the 2023 New Zealand team, Rookie New Zealand and Rookie World Champion in 2019. Next up, a police officer from Rotorua. Welcome, Kyle Lemon. Kyle has been in the New Zealand team for 8 years. Silver in the New Zealand Championships in 2021. 2017, he was in the New Zealand STIHL TimberSports World Team Champions and third on the podium last year. A logger from Stratford. Let's welcome Shane Jordan. Shane has been in the New Zealand team for 10 years. Real experience here. Bronze podium in the STIHL TimberSports World Champions in 2019 in Europe. That's a real feat. New Zealand champ in 2019, obviously also. Silver in the team STIHL TimberSports Worlds in 2019. And second right here on this stage last year, 2024. Cleveland Cherry. Cleveland is a mechanic from Putaruru. He is the rookie world champs bronze medalist for 2024. So that's in the world rookies last year. This is the first time in the national championship as he steps up from the rookies after 3 New Zealand victories. Hayden Rasmussen from Otaki. Always the biggest cheer from the crowd. He's a contractor. He's a first-timer last year. First-timer in 2023. So is it going to be a podium finish this year? What do we say, Otaki? New entrant this year from Waipawa. Good to have a few of us here from Central Hawke's Bay. Dylan Clark. Dylan works in forestry services for Forest 360. And as I said, first time up on the stage in the big time. From Masterton. He is the craftsman of the axes and saws that we see in this event. Let's welcome Quinton Fawcett. Now last up, but definitely not least. He is a farmer from Taumarunui. His name is Jack Jordan. Now Jack is thrice STIHL TimberSports World Trophy winner, including holding it currently, won it last year, 3 in a row. Hasn't been done before. He was the runner-up in the World Championship 2024 last year in France. As I said, just a smidge off it. Current New Zealand champion, and last night, for the 3rd time, Jack was awarded in the Ford Ranger Rural Sports Awards for the 3rd time, Rural Sportsman of the Year. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you will be watching all of these guys doing battle. So find yourself a good spot. Don't go away. We're going to be back with you very shortly with the underhand. So thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you back on stage, axes in hand.
Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes cut through a 32-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the stage our first contestants in the Underhanders, Quinton Fawcett and Dylan Clark.
Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes cut through a 32-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And away we go, our very first heat. Both are newcomers to this competition, Quinton Fawcett and Dylan Clark. It's Masterton plays Central Hawke's Bay is first on the turn. Quinton Fawcett, but I tell you what, it's only momentarily before Dylan Clark as they open up that second scarf. And we can already see the chips fly and get an idea of where we're heading. And Dylan Clark looks like he's going to take first victory in the heats. So now the judges will step up, have a look at the blocks, make sure everything has been cut. One of the important things, those flat bits on the end where they put their feet, can't be severed by an axe.
Right, come in close, fellas. Okay, both cuts are good.
Righto, that's how we like to start a competition. All the rules kept to very good clean cut, very close together as they finish. It just gives them those axes, weight probably about 3.2, maybe a bit heavier, kilograms. Referred to as a 3 kilo razor blade often. And specially made, one of those contestants, Quinton Fawcett, of course, from Tuatahi Racing Axes and Saws, who are one of our supporters in this event. Great to have them on board. Of course, he is one of the craftsmen from over there. Dylan Clark, watched him in a competition we ran under TimberSports rules in Hawke's Bay. He actually showed his mettle, probably the reason why we've got him here. And we've already seen an explosive start to the underhand competition. So if you have a look at those blocks, you can see that they have been marked with crayon. That's obviously going to be the target area that they are going to cut their 2 scarves from each side. Now, they don't get to choose their blocks. They have to wait for the draw, so you have to make the most of what you get in the draw. So that means having a look at the blocks, seeing where the harder wood is, where the knots are, and doing everything you can to avoid them, hence why you already plan out where it's going to be cut. Let's welcome to the stage Cleveland Cherry and Chris Lord.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So it's Cleveland Cherry on the right-hand side as you look from the grandstand. Chris Lord on the left. Now, both these guys have been New Zealand rookie champions. And, of course, Chris Lord has been the rookies world champion. Cleveland Cherry on the podium last year. So we've got some really good form here as they come up into this competition. There we have it. Showed the form that he had, certainly in that rookies final. Cleveland Cherry coming up to the big time now in this pro grade. Looks like he's got the medal. Judges, have a look at those cuts.
Okay, both cuts are good.
All right, so we're going to have 4 times on the board that we're recording. We're looking for the fastest time in each event, so they gather points as they go through, but we're also recording the times and compiling them and adding them together, because if we have a draw on points, it comes back to the time. We're able to go down to hundredths of seconds, so in the end, we will find a victor. So just mention quickly, when the end of the first event, you've got those flat pieces on the end. The axemen have carved those out prior to coming on stage, and they are called footholds. So that's obviously where they place their feet. And that is also a limit, so they don't want them going too close into the centre of the log, because if that's breached by one of the blows of the axe, that's a disqualification, and they don't want to do that. And as you heard in the description, this is replicating cutting a log that's lying horizontally, cutting it to length. And of course, this is how they would have done it before STIHL invented the chainsaw in 1926. And of course, there's a date, 1926, so that means next year will be the centenary of the STIHL company. And 100 years of making chainsaws, and as you know, looking at these blowers on the stage, STIHL does a lot more than just chainsaws now, but one thing it does that it's always done is give you the best quality and best backup of any brand in the world or New Zealand markets. Let's welcome to the stage Hayden Rasmussen and Shane Jordan.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, so this is second top as far as the rankings go into the second to last heat. Both making really good work. Shane Jordan, absolutely perfect cut on the first scarf, but Hayden Rasmussen not too far behind on the turn. Here we go, you can see it from your side. Look for the daylight. We can hear a little bit of movement coming through on Shane's, but it's taken another blow. Probably one more than he wanted. Hayden Rasmussen now, the All-Tucky flyer. Severs that block in two.
Coming close, Hayden.
Okay, both cuts are good.
There we have it. It's a good start to the competition in the underhand. All of our contestants are coming through making good clean cuts. It's all going to come down to time and placing. There's something else you might have noticed. If you've got really eagle eyes, you can see some screws that are in this end of each block. Those screws are there to prevent slabbing, or if they make the blow too shallow, that it picks up the grain of the wood and takes a piece off. That can happen and it can be okay, but it comes to the judges to make sure that every fibre in that piece of wood in the cut has been severed by the axe and not just a little bit extra taken off by the slabbing. Can't prevent it with those screws, but it goes a long way to avoiding it happening in competition. Okay, let's welcome to the stage in the final heat of the underhand, Kyle Lemon and Jack Jordan. So Jack Jordan on the left-hand side as you look from the grandstand, Kyle Lemon on the right.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, the others are quick, but these are the quickest two by ranking. Let's have a look and see. Look at the speed and cadence of Kyle Lemon up against Jack Jordan, the man who's taken all the titles. But it's going to be Jack Jordan first on the 10. Get a load of that jump turn by Kyle Lemon, but it's not going to be enough because Jack Jordan's blocked it out right now. Right now he has. Kyle Lemon needs to keep up. He needs that time still to be quick. So in case you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's how it's done. Okay, we'll wait for those final times.
Okay, both cuts are good.
And there we have it. So the times are going to be recorded. So we'll have a little bit of the order for you. Coming out of the previous heat, Shane Jordan was holding sway at 17.7, followed by Dylan Clark at 17.76. We'll take a punt that we think that heat may be just a tad faster, but we'll wait until we see the times. Just while we wait for those times, just a bit of acknowledgement. The deck crew here that keeps everything flowing by keeping the decks loaded and cleaned up. We've got Shane Campbell, Norm Cherry, Johnny Clark, Ben McLennan, John Gower and Bruce Liddington, who have been putting a fantastic effort in over our 2 days to make sure all of this vital work is done. They're all volunteers and we thank them greatly for their effort. Okay, let's have a look. We've got some times up just there on the board. Cast your eye over them. We knew it was going to be quick. So Jack Jordan putting in a 13.82 to take the top spot. And he opens his account in the day's proceedings. Shane Jordan, brother, just like last year, momentarily behind. 17.7. Dylan Clark from Waipawa, the new boy, in the block at a 17.76, already scoring a third. So that's going to be good for the points totals for the newcomer. Coming up next for you, a little bit more noise as we head for the stock saws. Also like to acknowledge some of our slightly behind the scenes operatives that you don't see so much on the stage. Our timers and points analyst. The points analyst is Ryan Correa. Des Leotawa running the big screen and the starting system. Alicia Wintle, so we need all those people there, vital to make sure all of the times and places are kept right and in order. I think it's worth noting we introduced the athletes onto the stage, but those chainsaws that have just been put on there, I think they're worthy of an introduction in their own right. And they are still MS661 professional chainsaws. They call them Magnum. They are the king of the forest in New Zealand.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games, still TimberSports underway. Jack Jordan, talk about play your ace there. That's your favourite event. The underhand you were going went really well.
Yeah, no, went pretty good there, I think. Good bit of wood and come off in the right amount of hits. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Okay, so what other event would you say is up there with the underhand as your favourite over the next 4 or 5?
Oh, I probably like them all equally, I suppose. Yeah, some pretty cool events coming up, so stay tuned and, yeah, it should be a good day.
World champion, of course. What does an event like this mean to a great crowd here today in the mighty Paradise North?
Yeah, awesome crowd here in the square. Great to be here. The weather's really put it on with a bit of cloud covering us, so hope that rain stays away and stays cool for the rest of the day, yeah.
Good stuff, Jack. We look forward to seeing you more over the rest of the competition. This is the STIHL TimberSports 2025 National Championships.
you, Hamish. Thank you, Jack. Now we're
Stock
just going.
saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark. 1 downward and 1 upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
High 90s market share in that particular area. These will be used in the competition. We'll give you a little bit of a rundown, and they look quite flash with those TimberSports bars, which are specially made for the competition. Let's bring on our first 2 contestants in the stock saw competition. It is Dylan Clark and Quinton Fawcett.
Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark. 1 downward and 1 upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
Warm up your saws. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Those first competitors away. Nice clean pick up on both sides, but it's going to be Dylan Clark who's through. Momentarily behind, it's Quinton Fawcett who comes up, but he's got a bit of a miss hit here. It's going to cost him some time, Dylan Clark. Oh, so that's going to be an interesting approach with judges to have a little bit of a look at to make sure that the extra cuts that were made to get rid of that broken cookie have not breached the limit. It's about 10 centimetres. It's all they can cut in as far as depth into that log goes. And as you heard in the introduction, it has to be 2 clean cookies.
Both cuts are good.
Oh, we got there. We got there. As long as you can make those cuts and get at least two clean cookies out of that area, you're away and laughing and scoring a time, because it's always good to put a time down. You don't want to be in a position where you are a DQ and you don't actually get to record the time, because it's going to go straight to the back of the field in the discipline. So there's still MS661 chainsaws, one of about 30 odd models in the still range. So a 40 centimetre log, so Shane Campbell there just cleaning up the face of the log, getting rid of the crayon line that was already there so we can mark a new one. There's also a line that will go down the centre of the block, and you'll see when they are ready to start, they'll have both of their hands up on the log. That centre line, they must have 4 fingers of each hand over that line. If they do not, that is a disqualification. So something that they always make sure of, but we can tell you it has cost the New Zealand team in the World Championships one year, so we don't want to see that. Using those steel blowers to clean all of the sawdust chips off the stage, and of course the chains made by Stihl. We don't have anyone else make chain for us. We have our own factories in Switzerland. We make enough chain to go around the world. I've forgotten how many times a year around the world it would go with a year's production from those 2 plants, but you have genuine Stihl chain. Now if you have a chainsaw that's not a Stihl saw, and we do respect you for that, Stihl shop stores have the chain for you. So if you have anything else, you can take that to those experts in those stores as well, and they'll make sure that you've got some high quality Stihl Swiss made chain fitted to your saw, no matter what it is. Let's welcome our next 2 contestants onto the stage. It will be Cleveland Cherry and Chris Lord. So the thing you can see them doing here is they are using crayon. They're putting where they expect the aim marks to be. Easy to say from the one that's coming down, a little bit harder from the upcut. But that's their plan.
Warm up your saws. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Quinton Fawcett put in 11.01 in the first heat. Let's have a look and see how these two prior rookie champs are going to go. Cleveland Cherry not happy with that first one, having to put a second in, gives Chris Lord a good advantage. Looks like he stayed well within the lines. Now comes the upcut from Cleveland Cherry. He knows it's cost him time, but he's made sure that it happens. And that's the important bit. So we'll have a final check, just make sure there are at least two there coming off that block. So Adam Lowe having a very close look at the cookies that have come off Cleveland Cherry's block. Cleveland turns around and has a bit of a look himself. He's thinking, did I get there or did I not? We're going to find out right now.
Both cuts are good.
Oh, we made it. So it's been a little bit of drama in these first two heats with two contestants going back for that extra cut, but they've managed to keep it within the limits. So at the moment, as I said, those 2 times recorded, Quinton Fawcett from Masterton with an 11.01 opening up his account. Dylan Clark again being forced to make that extra cut. Took him out to a 20.13. So those are the 2 times we've got. So we'll wait for the last 2 to come in before we get on to our next 2 contestants. Now, of course, if you like what you're seeing here and you've suddenly become the devoted fan of STIHL TimberSports, or you already are, for the first time we have a merchandise tent here, so lots of memorabilia and some great items that you might like to take back home. If you look from the grandstand, it's just over to your right-hand side. It is the white marquee. Quite a few people in there standing up at the counter now, but there's some really, really cool clothing and items that you might want to take advantage of while you're here. And some great service in there, I've heard, too. Setting up now for the third heat in the stock saw competition. And of course we say stock saw because you can buy one of these saws off the shelf from your friendly STIHL shop. Obviously they are pre-tuned to make sure they are absolutely matched saw for saw, so that each contestant has just the same advantage as every other. You see a little cradle that sits on the ground, that's ready so the saw sits at the start. As opposed to the hot saw competition, which you'll see later on in the day, the saws are started and left idling in that block. That block is there to stop them dancing around the stage, as they may want to do. Then as you've seen, it's the snatch, the pickup, hit the first cut down, and then the tricky one, which is the upcut, and make sure they stay within that 100mm bound. Looks like we're just about ready to go, so let's welcome to the stage Hayden Rasmussen and Jack Jordan.
Warm up your saws. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And it's an absolutely perfect snatch. Both time scores come up. Cuts are being made. They've got a 10.76 supported by Chris Ford earlier on to beat. Look at Jack Jordan just working that pressure absolutely beautifully to get the little bit of a run in. But I tell you what, there wasn't a lot in it. So we're going to have to see whether Chris Lord's time is going to be threatened by, could be even both these two, because as I say, we're looking for times. Winning the match race is great for the bragging rights, but we really need to see where those fastest times are. Okay, looks like we've got a bit of a review on one side. You can see the yellow handkerchief that's been dropped onto the stage. That means a review. So Adam Lowe just going down to have a look at the tablet. Slow-mo, just to see that everything is done correctly.
Okay, on stand 2, we have a good cut. Unfortunately, on stand number 1, it's a disqualification for breaking the start.
Oh, so the snatch wasn't quite on. It was just a little bit early for the start-up. Unfortunate it is. So we'll wait for the time on the good cut to come in. We have 2 more competitors to come. So in the rankings, the next 2 in will be graded as the fastest in the particular discipline. So as we wait for the next times to come up, Chris Lord, as mentioned, is a 10.76. Quinton Fawcett with an 11.01. Those were the top 2 places until this last heat, so we'll just have to wait and see where the good cut comes in the order of things. Of course, Cleveland Cherry and Dylan Clark essentially penalised themselves by having to go for another disc to get it complete, so that's probably pushed them down the list. Okay, we have news for you, folks. We have news for you. We have a new leader in the stock saw, and it is Jack Jordan from Taumarunui, who's just clocked a 10.6 seconds flat. So Chris Lord at that 10.76, enough to keep him into that second berth, and Quinton Fawcett holding there in the third. So if they can hold that position, they'll accumulate some points, but we've still got a couple of guns to come. And unfortunately for Hayden Rasmussen, in the last round, picks up a DQ, first one we've experienced for the day. But as we saw yesterday, that is not necessarily the end of game. So we saw Sam Bellamy and the rookies have a very tough start in the same event, in the stock saw, but managed to pick it up and get on the podium by end of day. Let's welcome to the stage Kyle Lemon and Shane Jordan. So Shane will be on the stand on the left as you look from the grandstand. Kyle Lemon on the right-hand side. It's a logger versus a police officer. Sounds like a match made in heaven to me.
Warm up your saws. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And away we go here. This is going to be the fastest heat by rights, but it might not be. There's some good times going in, and it's Shane Jordan absolutely first. You can expect the logger on the end of a 661 to do pretty well, and he does have the wood. He does have the wood. Shane Jordan on this little bit of a matchup just comes through slightly ahead of Kyle Lemon. Oh, just having one last look here. Seems okay, maybe. We'll see.
Both cuts are good.
That's what we want to see. We don't want to see the yellow handkerchief go on the deck and see a DQ, but that's very good. And I'm quite happy to quote Kyle Lemon. I'm sure he won't mind. When it comes to the stock saw, it's an incredibly hard event to win, but it's an incredibly easy event to lose because there's so much that can go wrong in such a short time. We did see that happen, and we almost saw that happen in 2 of the heats going through. Probably more than any other event. It seems the most simple, but it often works out to be the most difficult. So we'll wait for these times to come in, since they were both good cuts, and we'll have a good idea of where the top time will be for the stock saw, and see who's going to add it to their overall score in the points tally. Now, just while we're waiting for those, just keep an eye on the ball. There's a chap down there with what is called a T-shirt gun, and he's going to fire through a few. Now, let's have a look if we see the final results just coming up on the board for you shortly. Jack Jordan holding sway with that 10.6. Held his ground against brother Shane Jordan at a 10.69. So there is very little in it. Chris Lord, 10.76 to hold on for that third spot, and Quinton Fawcett, first time in the event with 11.01. Not too bad a effort. Okay, so we'll get an interview going, but just before we do, watch the ball. Here comes some T-shirts your way. Let's see if we can actually aim them away from the trees this time. This is STIHL, still New Zealand's marketing manager. Get your hands in the air if you want one of these. Okay, we've got a few to give away, so put your hands up. Put your hands up if you want one. And let's see if he's actually a decent shot. Yeah, well done. Now, no fighting, punching, biting, spitting. You got to be fair about this. Oh, didn't make the first row. What do you reckon? That's a DQ, everyone? Yeah, there you go. That's a DQ. So you better up the ante on here. Get the job right. Oh, I can see a lucky person got in, caught that on the full.
Test.
Okay, looks like there's one more. Hang fire, they say. There we go. Good catch. Good
Well,
catch.
the Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games here, the STIHL TimberSports. We go to the scoreboard here with the stock saw, and we see Jack Jordan at 10.6, and in second place, Shane Jordan at 10.69. So nothing in it. Shane, I just want to say you came out onto the board here and you got your crayon straight into action. You're very direct in your approach.
Yeah, you don't have much time to sort of get ready. You got 30 seconds, and you got to make sure you have your sort of your procedure right. And yeah, it's good to be sort of organised so you feel like you got a bit of time out there.
Good competition overall, though. So far for you, and have you got an ace in your pack that you like to play? What event do you like?
Probably the whole lot, really. Like, this is a different sort of event to what we normally do with the TimberSports with the 6 events, and you have to be good at all of them. The hot saw is probably one because it's triple points that you have to come out and do well in, but I think you just got to be consistent and do a good job all day.
Crowd's got to stay for the hot saw, right? Tell us a little bit about that event.
Yeah, the hot saw is pretty much the finale of the event. It's a big motorised like a motocross engine, running a chain, sort of 250 to 350 cc. So yeah, they're pretty fast.
Shane, congratulations. Enjoy the rest of the competition. Keep the pressure on that other fella. There you go. It's the STIHL TimberSports Championships for 2025.
Thanks.
Thank you, Hamish. Thank you, Shane. Now, just having a look at the scoreboard for the overall standings after our first two disciplines. You've just been hearing from Shane Jordan. He's sitting in that second position with 22 points overall. Jack Jordan sitting right up the top there. I guess the bookies' favourite, 24 points, and Kyle Lemon at 16. So we're pretty much looking at last year's podium. But the one coming up behind, Quinton Fawcett with 16 points, and Cleveland Cherry also. Time advantage a little bit there to Quinton Fawcett. So that's where they stand. Two disciplines in. Coming up is the standing block. That'll be our next event up. You can see the blocks standing there in their cradles. You can see that the axemen have already gone through and marked up where they're going to cut that block. Okay, let's get our first two contestants up on the stage.
To your timber.
Let's welcome Quinton Fawcett and Cleveland Cherry, everyone.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 30 centimeters has to be cut through both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Righto, you heard in the description that they're going to cut that from both sides. It's the same as felling a tree. So this is like scarfing it, which you would even do with a chainsaw. Cleveland Cherry first on the turn. Quinton Fawcett not too far away. These guys sitting very close together in the overall standings. Let's see what they can do here. This is going to be very important. But it's Cleveland Cherry manages to get the block into two first. Quinton Fawcett not too far behind, but it's going to give maybe a change in the order because, as we know, in the overall standings, a little bit of an advantage there to Quinton Fawcett, but they might have just evened up the ledger.
Both cuts are good.
Righto, so the scores are going to go on the board. And as I said, they were close together in the overall standings. I think that's probably just going to turn that around once we tally up after this event. Great day for doing this type of event. Yesterday we were in the absolutely scorching Manawatu sunshine. A little bit of cloud cover works well for us. Yes, it was a brilliant day yesterday in the place that Hamish Mackay calls Paradise North. Today a little bit less glare, a little bit less temperature. Ideal timber sports weather, one could say. Again, one of those traditional axe events, and of course great to be supported by our friends from Marston, the artisans and craftsmen who make the axes and saws that we see in most competition, and that is Tuatahi Racing Axes and Saws. I saw Grant Fawcett here a little bit earlier on. We'll try and get a word with him a bit later. Let's welcome onto the stage for heat number 2, Dylan Clark and Chris Lord. So if you're looking from the grandstand, Chris Lord will be on the left-hand side, Dylan Clark on the right. Otorohanga from Chris Lord, where he's from, and Waipawa, Central Hawke's Bay for Dylan Clark.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Absolutely great timing. Dylan Clark gets that first blow, and Chris Lord, he's pretty good at this. We're going to have to see. And some big hits from the big man from Waipawa, but it's not going to be enough because Chris Lord's already made the turn. It's going to depend on how much wood was taken out of that first scarf. But at the moment, it's Chris Lord. We'll see how it's going to fall. A little bit of a stick there for Dylan Clark's going to cost him, and Chris Lord's got them into 2 pieces. Dylan Clark needs to get that time, and he's done it. Yeah, a bit of a grimace on the face. He wanted that to be a little bit quicker than it was.
Okay, both cuts are good.
Okay, so the times are going to be in there, so it means that even if you know that you're a little bit behind, you have to keep the hammer down, so to speak, to make sure the good time's recorded. Now, you may also wonder that a lot of the competitors here are bringing 2 axes up on the stage. You can bring a reserve axe up, so that if anything goes wrong, you break a handle, split a handle, or you damage the edge of the blade, you have the ability to use your second axe. However, as you can imagine, that will be costly as far as time goes. So just like the underhand, you can, if you've got eagle eyes, you can see some screws in the tops of the block. Again, to stop slabbing, if a shallow blow is made that picks up the grain, that will restrict its ability to slab, doesn't completely stop it at all times. And the essence of this is to try and keep the blows in line as they head towards the centre. If you can imagine, a clean scarf will be like a V to the centre with no steps. So you've just joined us, welcome along. Great to have you here for STIHL TimberSports at the Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games. This is the 2025 National Championship. It's a big event in the calendar. Great to have it here in Palmerston North at the Rural Games. If you're a little bit early, you just joined us, you'll understand those blocks, they don't just get to pick the best one, they get drawn, and so they have to make the most out of what's been drawn, and hence why you can see the crayon marks on them, which outlines where they plan to hit those blocks. So last little bit of fettling being done up here on the stage before we get our next 2 contestants on. Okay, let's get our next 2 contestants on. Welcome to the stage, Hayden Rasmussen and Kyle Lemon. These high-performance axes in this sport, you're looking at a finished product about $900 to $1,000. Of course, each athlete will have their preferences for the grind as to what they're doing. They may have more than one axe for different events, different handle lengths. So there's a lot of science in it.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And away we go. They've got that timing down to perfection for the first blows. Kyle Lemon making good impact. Hayden Rasmussen works towards the centre. Who's going to be the first to turn? It's absolutely the same time, but Kyle Lemon gets the first blow in with a couple of sticks. Won't be happy. Looks like he's got a wood with a bit of moisture in it, but that's what he's got. Hayden Rasmussen working now, and he's done it. Oh, that's going to be popular with the Ortucky supporters, isn't it? And a nasty block there for Kyle Lemon. I won't tell you what he's thinking, but I could read it on his face.
Okay, both cuts are good.
That's what we're on here. Just having a look at the scoreboard as it stands before that heat. So we haven't got those times up yet, but Cleveland Cherry with the quickest time to that point at 17.66 seconds, followed by Chris Lord at an 18.99, and Quinton Fawcett following up at a 21.25. But we probably expect that we might have a fast time there for Hayden Rasmussen. We'll just have to wait until those scores come up on the board, and we will update you accordingly. Good to see those still blowers being used. Now, none of you might have petrol blowers, but there is an alternative with battery. And we got to the situation with still battery air brooms now that our most powerful handheld is actually a battery tool. It's a little bit bigger than the ones we're using here. It's called a BGA 250, but if you get a chance to visit your local still shop, get on the end of one of those. It's actually quite an experience. You'll never have so much power in an air broom to this date. And of course, once you've got that battery system, whichever one it is from the still company, you have a huge range of tools that you can add to your collection to keep your farm, your business, your home, everything looking absolutely spick and span. Righto, we're getting ready for the next heat. Let's welcome to the stage Shane Jordan and Jack Jordan. So from the last heat, Hayden Rasmussen clocking in at 20.02, giving him the third berth, but Cleveland Cherry with that 17.66. Still the fastest that we've seen today. But I've got a funny feeling we may see a fast time coming up for us now.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1. Go!
So it's Jack on your left, Shane on your right. A little bit of sibling rivalry for the first time of the day. This is where the heavy hits. They haven't wasted much time getting in on that turn either. They are absolutely going for it. These were the top two podiums from last year. But it is New Zealand's Rural Sports Person of the Year 2024 who puts the half on the deck. And I reckon that could be a quick time as long as the judges are happy. We will wait and we will see.
Okay, both cuts are good.
All right, so we wait with bated breath for the times to come in. Time to clear the decks, do a bit of thinking, look at this times, find out who our fastest contender was through. And we'll ask Hamish Mackay, our favourite Manawatu TV sports anchor, to come and do an interview with the top time. So stand by for that, coming your way soon. So as we wait for the time, Cleveland Cherry was sitting at the top of the board with that 17.66. I think we saw a very fast time just before, and I'll be surprised if we don't see this order change. Righto, time's just a hand, and you expected it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Jack Jordan with an 11.82, well ahead of the previous fastest time, goes to the top of the board. He's making a bit of a collection of it. Shane Jordan, who is up against him with a 15.66, holds that second position, and good on him, Cleveland Cherry, first time up in this Pro League with a 17.66 to hold that third spot.
Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games. Of course, the STIHL TimberSports 2025 National Championship, and stepping up as a three-time winner of the rookie, taking third place there in the standing block, Cleveland Cherry. Cleveland, you'd be pretty happy with how you're going so far?
Yeah, no, going not too bad. A few things to work on, but yeah, it's real good, yeah.
But debut in the open category, I mean, how much harder is it?
Yeah, no, it's a lot harder, eh? The boys are a lot better. It's a bit of a jump in competition, but yeah, it pushes you to go a bit better.
What was that, an 11.87 from Jack Jordan? That's scintillating.
Yeah, no, it's a real unreal cut. It'll take me a while before I get to there, I'd say.
But that's the aim, and you know, is it a sort of a lifelong commitment sport-wise? We talked to Cherie Taylor from Te Araha yesterday. She's been doing it 41 years. Do you see that happening with you?
Hopefully, yeah, as long as the body holds up all right, yeah, be the plan.
And what's to come? What do you like of the events that remain?
Pretty hit and miss, but the old single saw can go good for me, and I don't mind climbing the tree. I like the tree, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
There we go, Cleveland Cherry from Tokoroa, ladies and gentlemen, here at the STIHL TimberSport 2025 Nationals.
Okay, we're coming up to the next discipline, which will be the single saw or the single buck. When we talk about buck or bucking, you're really using a term for cross-cutting. Certainly used in other parts of the world, but we keep to the international format and we call it that here as well. And you can see those big saws, the first one just being laid now onto the deck, second one coming up now. These are a wondrous piece of equipment, and they can actually be quicker than a chainsaw in the single cut that we are doing here. So don't doubt that a tool that was used probably en masse before the chainsaw was invented can't actually foot it now. So great piece of competition. We've got the saws up. Let's welcome our first two contestants. It will be Hayden Rasmussen and Dylan Clark.
Standing block chop. single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc of a 46-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
So you heard the description there, something that wasn't in there. You just see them setting up now. They're cutting a starting cut, which is around about 12 inches in the old money. Absolutely no more, because that could give an advantage. We use that in STIHL TimberSports worldwide to make sure that we get a quick cut off the mark. Less chance of that big piece of steel buckling and bowing.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And away we go in these big saws. Hayden Rasmussen on your right as you look, and that's unfortunate. Dylan Clark's going to have to catch it up. He's managed to flick off the grain. It's going to make it a little bit harder. Hayden Rasmussen, with the experience, puts the cookie down on the ground. So it's up to the young fella from Central Hawke's Bay here to do the catch up and get that disc down, but he's going to do it. We'll check it. It looks like it's probably okay, but the judges will make that decision. So Matt here is just going to match up those two pieces, make sure that all the fibre was cut all the way through. Okay, so this is inquiry stage at this point. A little bit like making up a jigsaw on that cookie. So again, just got to be careful. If they flick that cookie off, it can cost them. But obviously on top of that, you can see how important the rhythm and keeping that saw straight is absolutely vital for a good time. New Zealand very, very strong at this event as a general rule.
Okay, we have a good cut on one. Unfortunately, on stand 2, it's a disqualification for breaking the start.
Oh, a bit of bad luck there. Always tough when it's the first time up in this league, but things do happen. There's always a lot of pressure. Righto, we'll give a little bit of a clean up. Now, a little bit of knowledge so that if you get in a pub quiz, you know what to say. You'll notice that we don't have chips coming out of those. They're a long, stringy piece of timber that comes out of the kerf, and we call those noodles. So if you get asked the question in a single buck competition, what is the debris on the ground? They are noodles, not chips. Second piece of trivia for you. Just wait for Shane Campbell, just finish cleaning up the face of that block so it's nice and square for the next contestant. There's another little bit of terminology that you need to know, and it's a nickname. And it's a nickname for these big saws. And you'll probably understand when I tell you what it is, how it comes about. So the nickname for a single buck saw is a misery whip. A misery whip. And that's exactly how it feels when it all goes wrong. That's when the saw bows, buckles, jags, or anything else you don't want it to do, because as you heard in the introduction, they're up to 2 metres long. They're also up to about $3,000 to $4,000, by the way, while we're at it. They're a very, very specialised piece of sports equipment nowadays, these saws. But yes, the nickname is a misery whip, and it sums up when things go wrong. So the saws coming out. The other thing you'll find is they're extremely well looked after by their owners. They'll often keep a special saw for competitions at this level. They won't necessarily use it as their practice saw. They keep it for good. Usually it's bathed in oil, like STIHL Multi-Spray. Someone mentioned WD-40, but I tell you what, if you go to your STIHL shop, there's a product there called STIHL Multi-Spray, which does the same job, probably a little bit better value, and it's what's even better, it comes from a STIHL shop. Let's get our next two contestants on. We're looking for Kyle Lemon and Quinton Fawcett. course, Quinton involved in the manufacture of these saws. Now the saws that we use here in the softer wood are called peg and raker. There are two types of teeth. High performance one using up to 4 pegs. They are the cutters. The raker is the bit that takes the noodle out of the kerf. Okay, so there's some more knowledge for you. So just looking at these saws, I can see Kyle Lemon, who is on your right hand side as you look from the stands. 4 pegs. Come over to Quinton Fawcett running a 3. So it's a 4 peg versus a 3. Sometimes the condition of the wood will make the difference. And of course I can see that wonderful brand Tuatahi racing axes and saws emblazoned on Quinton's saw. Starting cuts have been made and measured.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And away we go. Heat number 2 here in the single buck. Kyle Lemon, a very proficient sawyer. Quinton Fawcett knows what he needs to get out of that saw. As I say, it's a 4 peg versus a 3 peg. It's Masterton plays Rotorua, but I tell you what, the man who makes them looks like he's done the job. Right, last check's being done by the judges.
Okay, both cuts are good.
That's what we want to hear, isn't it? Excellent effort there. Kyle Lemon, Quinton Fawcett. From the first round, Hayden Rasmussen recorded a 14.17. We'll see whether Quinton's time can just bring that down a tad or not, as the case may be. As we get ready now for heat number 3. Do a little bit of clean up. Move those noodles. Remember, that's the word, noodles, not chips. That's what you call chips. Shows you that it's a very, very sharp, high quality Swiss made STIHL chain on that STIHL MS661 chainsaw. So not only do we race them here at TimberSports, we use them just to make everything work well. And if you've got a farm, you want a big saw, you can't go past it, or maybe even the usurper to the crown, the STIHL MS500i, a fuel injected, high performance professional chainsaw that has also taken a large chunk of the market for the thinnings and silviculture market, as well as some of the harvesting market that is left being done with chainsaws. Right, last clean up with those fantastic STIHL blowers. Clear the noodles and the chips away and the cookies. It's a culinary experience right here at STIHL TimberSports. Saws are out, getting ready for our next 2 contestants. They'll get that starting cut put in. So again, your piece of trivia for that is that 12-inch or 30-centimetre starting cut, which is how you go about a STIHL TimberSports single buck competition. Let's get our next 2 contestants on stage, and they will be Chris Lord and Cleveland Cherry. You've already seen these 2 lined up in action in a number of the heats. The rankings seem to be similar. Cleveland Cherry, as you heard in Hamish Mackay's interview, first time up in this competition, stepping up from the rookies grade, which is what Chris Lord did a couple of years ago as well. And of course, Chris Lord taking New Zealand's only World Championship rookies title. And by gosh, it was good when we heard the news. And those of us got to watch it live in the small wee hours really had a treat to see that happen. Cleveland Cherry, of course, he's been on that podium in the World Champs as well. So these guys, the future of the sport, some of the younger guys, the rookies aspire to them in the grade below. We saw a fantastic rookies competition yesterday, didn't we? Matt Gower, Morgan Bolstad, what a fight to the finish with Matt Gower getting his first New Zealand rookies title. I'm sure he's probably still enjoying the fact today.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Looks like a couple of 3-peg saws here. Really good cadence there from Chris Lord. Good speed. Cleveland Cherry got a heavier blow, but we're coming down to about the 60% mark. They're going to be really sucking the air in now as they go for the final. Temptation not to flick it off, but I'll tell you what, Cleveland Cherry, first time up here at STIHL TimberSports in this pro league for the men. Really looks like he's doing his utmost to deliver in the competition. Two great athletes here on stage for you too.
Okay, both cuts are good.
There we go. So we're going to record some times. So the fastest up to this point is Quinton Fawcett with a 13.8. Holds that top spot while we wait for the times on those two. Great piece of competition, getting those misery whips working. We've heard that they are often looked after better than someone's firstborn because they are so precious to winning these types of sports. If there's any hint of moisture in the air, you'll see the oil coming out and the thing being put in its wooden crate and blankets and towels just to make sure they protect it, because that is a very, very high quality carbon steel. And as we know, if you want the best edge, often the payback is that it is prone to oxidizing. So they do their utmost to make sure that those saws stay in absolutely perfect condition. Often they use a wizard or someone who is a specialist at the sharpening and honing on those saws to get them absolutely into match condition. Then nothing and no one can touch them, because it's so important. It could be hundredths of a second different. So the next set of saws, gently brought on by our deck crew. See Norm Cherry just laying it down on the ground there. He knows how to handle one of these, because all of these guys on the deck are competitors in their own right, who've come along here to make STIHL TimberSports as good as it is for everyone watching on, both live streaming, live, and of course getting ready for the highlights package on Sky Sport. Let's get our next two competitors on. It's the last heat, Shane Jordan and Jack Jordan. So just looking at the times from that last heat, Cleveland Cherry just pushes his way in front of Quinton Fawcett with a 13.44 to Quinton's 13.8. Hayden Rasmussen still sitting there in third with a 14.17. But here come the big guns. Let's see if they can move that needle just a little bit more. So Jack will be on the left-hand side of the stage as you look from the grandstand. Shane on your right. These two pretty much even when we got onto the podium last year in this competition. So there's absolutely intent to switch the order this year.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Away we go. Very clean pull as they pick up momentum now in this single back competition. Jack Jordan, Shane Jordan, a little bit of sibling rivalry. Great to have them both on the stage. And I tell you what, he's done it again. He just seems to have the mettle, doesn't he? New Zealand's 2024 Rural Sportsman of the Year. Second in the World Championships for STIHL TimberSports. Just pipped to that top spot. But I tell you what, older brother Shane, as you can tell, absolutely no pushover. He's been on that top tier as well. He stood on the podium over in the Worlds in Europe, and he wants it back.
Come in close. Okay, both cuts are good.
All right, we're going to be looking forward to seeing what those times are. Just have to wait, bated breath, just to see where it is. So Cleveland Cherry was leading out of that last heat before these two at 13.44, followed by Quinton Fawcett at a 13.8, and Hayden Rasmussen from Otaki. As the Otaki fan club, these are 14.17, so he was in the money. We'll just have to see how it's going to look once we get these last two times on the board.
Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games are still TimberSports 2025 National Championships. We've just seen the Bucksaw. Quinton Fawcett is from Masterton. Might have come in about third or fourth place there, Quinton. And now, of course, you're from the family that are behind the axes and the saws to a day. Tell us about that story.
Yeah, my grandfather started the company in about the 80s. And, yeah, my old man works there as well. And me, of course, and yeah, keeping it going to this day. But yeah, they are considered the best axes and saws in the world, and they've been that way for the last 20 years at least.
And most of our guys use these, do they?
Yeah, I would say there would not be another axe brand here today, and if you go around any show in New Zealand, there'd be very few other brands. Yeah, 99% of every competitor would use our gear.
So over the open classes over 25, you can't have been in it too long. How are you happy with your performance?
Yeah, this is my first year. I'm going not too bad. Haven't been chopping real good, but had a pretty good single saw there. I know a guy who makes some good ones, so yeah, I was able to get away with a bit of a good cut there. So, going all right.
And what is your, I mean, obviously the axe or the saw, what is your favourite?
I really like the single saw. It's very technical, but yeah, of course it does help when you've got a nice saw. And yeah, there's no better feeling of a saw that's really cutting the log. Yeah, I can't really explain it, but yeah, definitely be the single saw my favourite event.
What a great event it is here in Palmerston North too. Just fantastic, and a great crowd here in the square.
Yeah, it's awesome turnout, and this is what woodchopping needs. You know, we're sort of seen as a dying sport, but when you get crowds like this, you know, if we can get one or two people out of the crowd wanting to give it a go, then it's all worth it.
Well, I tell you what, people turn up like this and see the kind of activity you guys put in, then it's not going to be a dying sport at all. Quinton, thanks very much for joining us. This is the STIHL TimberSport 2025 National Championships here at the Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games.
Thank you, Hamish. Thank you, Quinton. Now, we had those results come through from the single buck. Quinton did have a good saw, but only enough to get him into the fourth spot. But that last heat between Jack and Shane Jordan certainly changed the order, with Jack Jordan coming through with a 10.38. To accumulate some more points, Shane Jordan with an 11.67. And Cleveland Cherry, the ex-rookie, coming in with a very good third spot. Now, when we go to the overall standings, we can see that Jack Jordan has accumulated even more, putting 3 points clear on brother Shane Jordan with 36. But Cleveland Cherry is said first time in this league, sitting on 26 in that third spot, just ahead of Chris Lord at 24. And we said that the result coming out of that single buck was going to change that all around, and it certainly has. Kyle Lemon coming in an uncharacteristic 6th position at the moment with 26 points. Hayden Rasmussen and Dylan Clark finishing out the table as we head towards our next event, which will be the Springboard.
Springboard. Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees, climbing up over thick roots. First, notches known as pockets are chopped into the log. 2 springboards are then anchored into these pockets. The athlete then climbs up to chop through a 27-centimeter thick block of wood in the fastest time possible.
Now, we know you've all been waiting for the drought to break round here, haven't you? So we've been a bit dry, got the fire restrictions on. As always be the way after blisteringly hot blue sky yesterday, we have a little bit of precipitation. But we know the Manawatu people are tougher than that, and I'm sure you've bought some umbrellas and raincoats. Okay, we are now ready for the Springboard competition. Let's welcome on our first two competitors. It is Quinton Fawcett and Cleveland Cherry.
Springboard. Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees, climbing up over thick roots. First, notches known as pockets are chopped into the log. Two springboards are then anchored into these pockets. The athlete then climbs up to chop through a 27 centimeter thick block of wood in the fastest time possible.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So in go the start of the first pockets. Ideally about 4 blows. Some will put a few in just to be sure. Cleveland Cherry board in quickly. We know he's been practicing this. And of course, coming from rookie grade, they don't do the 2-board competition. So this is a little bit of a step up. Quinton Fawcett just in front of me now. Puts in a good pocket. Get a little bit of a stick, but you want to make sure there's no loose chips sitting in the edge of the pocket as he gets the second. Both put the axe into the top block straight away. Cleveland Cherry first up on board number 2. Starts the approach, top scarf. Quinton Fawcett now pulls the axe and starts his procedure to get through that top block. So you heard, if you can imagine, that's a tree standing in the forest. It's got buttress roots. They have to get up high to get into the clear wood. They'll try and cut as much out of that face as they can on the good side before they turn to the back. Okay, Cleveland Cherry, he looks like he's on form. A little bit of a slab going on there, but probably not enough to stop him putting in the cut. Quinton Fawcett now turns to the back. Gets the first blows in. It's all on time. We need to make sure we get the good time in. So he works his way across to the far side. Almost there. One more blow and it's done. So there you have it. That's the Springboard competition, everyone. Heat number 1.
Okay, both cuts are good.
Okay, so we're away and running. We have some times and we have some points being accrued. See whether these guys further down the league can catch the Jordan brothers sitting at the top of the tree at the moment, so to speak. So do a little bit of a clean up on the stage now. Then we'll be ready for heat number 2. Looks like the precipitation was none but a hint. Nothing more at this stage. Certainly not enough to perturb some sawyers and some choppers here. The 2025 National Championships for STIHL TimberSports right here at the Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games. What a great event to bring to Palmerston North, and I guess Palmerston North is agriculture central. Greatest agricultural university in New Zealand, of course, right here in the city. And a lot of the research institutes are here, and of course the farming industry that surrounds it is based here. Very, very important. Now I can see while you're here, if you're looking for some STIHL TimberSports memorabilia or some great t-shirts or to remember the occasion, or if you're just a committed TimberSports fan, there is a merchandise tent here. If you look from the grandstand, it will be over to your right. It's a white marquee. You can already see a lot of people up at the counter in there. Some great stuff to take home with you at some extraordinarily reasonable prices, they tell me as well. So make sure you get in there before it's all gone, because we're in our last afternoon of competition here at STIHL TimberSports for the 2025 National Championship. So get the merch while it's hot, they say. And of course, if you go to your friendly STIHL shop at the moment, there are all sorts of deals. It's an upgrade going on, so you could buy the better machine for the price of the one underneath it. And if all of you are going to Central District's Field Days next week, which I'm sure you all are, there are some fantastic deals from the stores there, and they'll cover the whole Central District's region. Wanganui, Greytown, Masterton, Pahiatua, Levin, Palmerston North and Fielding, all those stores will be on site, and they've got a deal there that is better than anything else in the country. So if you want a little bit of GST free for your next chainsaw, your next air broom, hedge trimmer, lawnmower, whatever it is, you're looking for STIHL product, make sure you get along to Central District's Field Days next week. Okay, so you've seen the springboards that they're using here. The wood that they usually use is a mix of either red cedar, aspen, poplar. Sometimes in the US they use basswood. And we're actually seeing for the first time in the international competition extruded aluminium being used for these, which makes for a very light, strong board. Each competitor will pick his boards that suits them. They might like a heavier board for a firmer footing, or they might like a more flexi board to give them a little bit of extra spring in the hit. So very much down to the individual. The idea, you heard the introduction, they put the pockets in. Ideally a pocket can be done in 4 blows at the top level. And looking to sort of get in around a minute or so to get the job done. Let's bring on our next two competitors is Chris Lord from Otorohanga and Dylan Clark from Waipawa, Central Hawke's Bay. Time to beat so far is a 55.59 put in by Cleveland Cherry in heat number 1, followed by Quinton Fawcett with a 69.60.
Athletes, ready?
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, so we want to start breaching that 1 minute mark very soon as the first pockets go in. First good pocket there by Dylan Clark, just watching him over there. It's got a board sitting. Now the angle that board's sitting, most competitors want it sitting no more than 5 degrees up or down off the level to give themselves a really good foot print to actually get the second board in. Now they can't just put those boards in anywhere because it's all working towards that block on the top, which just like the standing chop, they've already measured out, worked out where the best wood is. So Chris Lord's first on the top board. Dylan Clark now just gets up there. And I tell you what, you might not think it's very high, but it is when you get up there. And that pole is moving and you're trying to swing an axe. So Chris Lord got the advantage so far. Up on that second board, both boards very good. In fact, I'll say for both of these competitors, both boards are good boards. Okay, Chris Lord turns to the back now, goes underneath, comes in from the top, clears out some wood. Dylan Clark still working away, first scarf. Chris Lord probably not quite where he had it, but he's cleaning out more wood as he works across to the far side. We can see some movement. There she goes. Great work. Dylan Clark now knows he needs to get some times up. Starts coming through from the top. We call these slashing strokes because it's quite different. In some events, they'll come up from both sides with the boards. Still TimberSports faster event. Puts in those blows. Can see some movement. He's willing it to leave the bottom half of the block. We can see the movement now, and away she goes. Just about takes him with it. Oh, that's good stuff, isn't it? Gotta love Springboard. So many different pieces to the puzzle. Oh, the technique and all the different parts. So remember that trivia quiz, you got to remember what the boards are often made out of. Red cedar, aspen, poplar, basswood, or maybe even extruded aluminium. So Matt Hera walks up to the front of the stage. Dylan Clark just parks his axe. Great sportsmanship in this event too, as you've probably witnessed all the way through.
Okay, both cuts are good.
That's what we wanted to hear, isn't it? Both cuts are good. We'll wait for those times to go in and we'll have a look at the old scoreboard and see how it's starting to pan out halfway through. So now it's time to do a reset. Obviously we need to take those old blocks off the top, get some new ones up.
my goal with New Zealand tonight is to leave everything on the stage. We make one little mistake, or Australia, or New Zealand, or Canada, we make a mistake, they're in.
All right, here we go. This is for the bronze medal. That was a very quick transition for Canada. Wow. Marcel, we got it just at the end there. Oh my goodness, folks. It's going to be...
That was pretty incredible. We really came together as a team over the last few days and couldn't ask for a better group of guys to win a bronze medal with.
I would never, ever bet against the Australians.
And Myers threw very fast. Oh my goodness. Brad DeLosa making it look easy again. Starts on the second side.
We really love winning, and yeah, it was great to get another win tonight. And yeah, now we break the world record on 2 occasions, so that was just awesome. You know, yeah, it was really, really successful team, and we were expecting to get the win, and we did.
It's really interesting thinking about who's all here for the individual world championship.
Right, get your hands in the air if you want one of those shirts so he's got something to aim at. Otherwise he's going to miss. Or it's going to fall short or something will go wrong. As long as you've got enough gas in the gun, I wouldn't stand in front of it there safe. I'd say that's a very dangerous place to be. He's listening for the most noise. Come on, there it goes. Now, come on, guys, no fighting, spitting, biting, pinching, none of that. We've just got to be fair when that thing comes down. Just make sure to claim it for yourself. Oh, and if you thought it was over, he's got more ammo. He's got more ammo, his STIHL, still New Zealand's marketing manager. You always want a marketing department. They always give away lots of free stuff, don't they? Oh, someone made a good catch in there on the fly. Probably play for the Black Caps next. Here he goes. Makes a noise. There it goes. Oh, just about got it in the tree. And that wouldn't be the first time either. Here we go. This is the old no-look one. Tell you what, he only just got it into the crowd. Almost fell back into the arena, that one. All right, there she blows. Heads up. I think someone wasn't even expecting that. They're too engrossed in the dog trials over there, which I can understand. Oh, I tell you what, now that's what I want to see. Competition like that with about 7 people going for the same spot. All right, that might be the ammo spent. Don't know. We'll wait and see. So don't go anywhere. We're just doing the preparations for the next 2 heats in the Springboard. You've seen 2 go through. And we have some times as well. Cleveland Cherry sticking the hammer down again as his first year in the senior competition with a 55.59, well underneath that 1 minute mark. Chris Lord from Otorohanga with a 66.5 in second, leaving Quinton Fawcett with the first heat round of 69.6, sitting in the 3rd spot before we get to the next 2 heats. And don't go away too, because we've got the hot saws coming. So if there's any petrol heads out here, are there any petrol heads out there? Yeah, well, you're not making a lot of noise for petrol heads, but anyway, we have the hot saws coming. And if you can imagine taking anything that can be made into a single cylinder and making it into a chainsaw and going racing, you've got what the essence of that particular discipline is. Started off as a demonstration sport. Now it is part of STIHL TimberSports. I think that estimate for the hot saws is round about the 1 o'clock mark, so don't lose your spot. Let's get another couple of competitors on here in the Springboard competition. Let's welcome to the stage Kyle Lemon and Shane Jordan.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
And away we go. If you've been with us for the first 2 heats, you know the score. We've got to get those pockets put in. Very quick pocket put in there by Kyle Lemon. Puts the board in, but I tell you what, Shane Jordan might have been slightly behind, but he got up on that board just a little bit quicker. Second pocket's going in. First boards look good. Second board going in now. Shane Jordan. Oh, the alacrity as he steps up there and approaches the first side. Kyle Lemon puts it in, gives it a test. Not happy. He's going to have to redo it. Grabs the axe again, giving Shane Jordan in this particular matchup a good opportunity to get ahead, and we know that he's going to be in that top part of the finishing order, so he knows he's going to have to keep on trucking here and make sure he gets a good time in. Kyle Lemon really, he's going to have to do what he has. Board just starting to be a little bit below that perfect 5 degrees down off level, but it's all over on the other side there as Shane Jordan takes the top off the block. Kyle Lemon still not happy with that second board. Takes the axe out. He's going to make sure he gets it in. You want to have a nice V in the base of that pocket. No wood sitting in it, so that the tip of the board. Now that metal piece on the end of the board, for those quizzes out there, that's called a clip. And why? Because it looks like a overgrown paper clip. Made of cast iron. Here we go. Kyle Lemon now gets his opportunity to go on the first side. Gets a chip, come back. Hit him in the back of the hand, but it hasn't held him back as he starts the cut now. He knows he needs to get everything he can at this time of the competition and get as much as he can out of the Springboard event. Now he's picking up the pace as Kyle Lemon, police officer from Rotorua, the Sheriff of Murupara. Here he comes. Oh, it's a nice cut too on the side. He's making sure he leaves as little wood as possible. Very even cut, no steps in it at all. Putting the effort in, comes in across to the far side, near side, and now he's got the wood and the fibres are gone and she's on the ground. Well done to our 2 competitors. She's a tough old ask up there when the board's moving, bending, not at the right angle. Pocket's not quite where you want it. And of course that pole is moving. And then you need a bit of a head for heights as well. So it's enough to test the strongest in the competition. And often is a little bit like a drafting gate and a set of sheep yards. It really determines who's going up to the next level. Judges having a bit of a conflab here, not sure what that's about. find out shortly. We can see the protest has gone onto the floor, so something's going to have to be investigated here. Sort of sitting about centred table, so I'm not actually sure which tree it's actually affecting. But we'll find out soon enough, won't we? Now, we mentioned that hot saw event, those bespoke chainsaws, those single cylinder monsters. We're looking at a time around about 1 o'clock or thereabouts. So what I'm saying to you is don't go anywhere. Keep that seat in the stand, keep your spot on the front fence. Because as soon as we start, it's like the Tokoroa mating call. When we start those machines up, people come from everywhere.
Okay, both cuts are good.
There you go. It was a conflab, but obviously nothing was wrong with it. We just needed to make sure we got it right. Get the points up on the board. We'll wait for those times. We'll give them to you once we've got them. But at the moment in the springboard, from the heat prior, Cleveland Cherry from Tararoo showing his mettle as he gets into the senior competition with a 55.59. That's the time to beat so far. Righto, we'll do a little bit of a clear up. Obviously, we've got to clear the decks, make sure there's no debris that no one can trip over or get in the way of a good cut in the next springboard heat, and it will be our final heat. And I can see for our Otaki supporters up there, Hayden Rasmussen, one of our competitors. Oh, gee, we always get a reaction. Take your hat off to the people from Kapiti who come up here, and I guess they are really the locals because we don't have a Palmerston North or fielding competitor in here. But we do have someone from Otaki, don't we? But I tell you what, he's going to have his match because I can see the other bloke that's going to be on the other tree, and his name's Jack Jordan, so all bets are off. So you can see in the scoreboard that we got a little bit of change in proceedings with Shane Jordan in that last cut with a 48.26. I tell you what, that's a good time. 48.26 takes him to the top of the table ahead of Cleveland Cherry. Chris Lord holding that third position. Quinton Fawcett still staying there or thereabouts in that fourth position, but Shane Jordan's time, that is good by any measure. Unfortunately for Kyle Lemon, things didn't go his way. Pushes him a little bit down the board. Righto, it's ready for our next two competitors in this ultimate heat in the springboard. It is Jack Jordan and Hayden Rasmussen. It's a good Taranaki versus Kapiti matchup here. The new 2024 Rural Sportsman of the Year on one stand, and one of those greatest of club competitors that keeps this sport going, Hayden Rasmussen, on the other pole.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, so those first pockets going. Last heat here in the Springboard. Now, if you're going to go up to any level, you have to be able to do all of the disciplines. First board in there by Jack Jordan. Probably a little bit lower than he wants, but it's going to be enough to set in the second pocket. Hayden Rasmussen also up. Starts his second pocket now. Last chips come out from Jack Jordan. Look at that clip go straight in there. I tell you what, that looks like it's going to be a very good board. We've got a little bit of twist on it, but none to matter. As the young man comes in from the top, second in the World Championships, and this is one of the events that makes or breaks them. Really getting some momentum up as the chips fly. Hayden Rasmussen got a little bit of work to do. He's got his axe stuck. He's going to have to move to get it out of that pocket. Jack Jordan turns on the far side. This is what we know him for. Top performances. He was on top of the podium here, and I tell you what, he's probably heading there as we look now with one event to come. Hayden Rasmussen now back on the deck, on the tree, puts the second clip in. Board looks all right, puts his weight on it. Deftly jumps up onto the board, gets the axe out, and here we go. Here's his opportunity. He's going to post a time. Everything's now back on track. Hayden Rasmussen starts on that first scarf, clearing out the wood. You've got a great view there from the stands. You can probably call the blows as they come through. Oh, I can hear the support coming in from the back of the stands as we did expect. Hayden's had a few years now in this top flight competition. He knows what's expected. Makes the turn now, comes down in the TimberSports style, slashing strokes in the back of the block in the Springboard. It's almost there and it's gone. How about that? How about that? Always tough when you've got Jack Jordan standing on the boards on the other tree, but I tell you what, that was a very, very good finish there for Hayden Rasmussen. So Judge Matt Hura steps to the front of the stage. He will be bringing up our two competitors from that final heat. We'll check the times for you later. At the moment, it's Shane Jordan with a 48.26. It's holding sway. Just get those axe covers on that Tuatahi axe.
Okay, both cuts are good.
There we have it. We've got a full set for the Springboard. Everyone's managed to put a time in. We'll see what those times were on that final. Come to us shortly.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games still TimberSports 2025 New Zealand Championships. Hayden Rasmussen from Otaki. Hayden, that was the archetypal sticky one for you.
Yeah, I did a bit of a bad hit there and I didn't pick up enough wood on that bottom hit. That's why the axe stuck, couldn't get it out. Broke the handle, heard it crack, so you can't use a broken axe. So I had to come down and change axe, of course, but it cost me a lot of time and whatnot. But yeah, that's what it is.
People from Otaki are pretty usually quite relaxed and chilled and calm. That's how you had to stay though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just one of those things that, well, excuse my language, shit happens. It's part of the sport, it does happen, but first and paramount, you've got to be safe. You can't chop with a cracked handle, so yeah, it is what it is.
Tell us about the camaraderie in this competition. I know the woman yesterday was saying, you know, like Cherie Taylor from Te Araha, 41 years in the competition, said it's her family. You guys all seem to get on pretty well and see a bit of each other?
Yeah, definitely. Like we see most of these guys around the annual APNI shows and whatnot, wood chopping a ring. So, and with my family chop, and you chop against them, and it is what it is. And it's a great sport for whānau, and it's completely different atmosphere at the back there. But it's something you got to adapt to, and yeah.
Hayden Rasmussen from Otaki. Round of applause for Hayden, please, ladies and gentlemen. This is the STIHL TimberSports 2025 National Championships here at the Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games.
Thank you, Hamish. Thank you, Hayden. Good bit of insight there on what it's like being in the sport. Now, we looked at the results that you could see up there, and it's interesting to see that Shane Jordan just getting a little bit ahead, but let's look at the overall standings at the moment. If we look at the top three, if the podium was going to be put down before we get to the hot sauce, Cleveland Cherry holding that third spot with 50 points. Shane Jordan from Stratford with 63 holding the next spot, but not far ahead. It's getting a little bit closer. Jack Jordan from Taumarunui still holding the top spot with 66. So if we were putting a podium up now, that's what it would look like. But next we've got the hot saws. Now I'm just going to give you a little bit of warning here, because if you've got littlies near you, or you're a little bit sensitive of hearing, and you don't have a set of those fantastic STIHL air defenders, you might need to use the old Kiwi air defenders and stick the fingers in the air, because these things are going to be quite loud. Just a little bit of pre-warning. You can see the block that's just been put up there. So we will warm them up, give you a little bit of an idea on how this event runs. We're carving up that 18-inch block that's sitting in the foreground. If you like, these are the dragsters of the chainsaw world, made for one reason and one reason only, and that is to be as fast as possible in a race.
Hot saw. For the hot saw, power saws are called into action, and the athletes have a space of 15 centimeters to cut 3 complete discs off a 46 centimeter thick wooden block. Jumping the start or cutting over the line will result in a disqualification.
Again, our special thanks to the people that have made this event so good. This deck crew here, all involved in the sport, come along here to Palmerston North just to make sure this event works as well as it does. And they've been doing a great job. So how about a big round of applause for the deck crew? Well done, those chaps. Okay, so we're putting the shields in, so you can probably understand that if something were to go wrong, that chain's got a heck of a lot of horsepower behind it. But what you're going to find in this event, we'll have a description for you, but you saw the stock saw if you were with us earlier on, and you would have remembered that the sawers started and idling at their feet before they make their 2 cuts. Well, in this event, they're going to make 3 cuts of that 18-inch block, and within the time, they have to start the machine as well. So if that machine doesn't start, that's chewing up their time. They can't make the cuts. So they don't get the luxury of having a machine that's idling ready to go. So the start is very important. And of course, if it goes wrong, so's the brain. You know, it's all in the mind games to get the starter wound back on and make another restart. But when they cut, we can expect to see times of somewhere between 5 and 6 seconds with everything going at full noise to make 3 cuts of an 18-inch disc or block. So you can probably imagine this is going to be over in a blink. But there's a sequence. We allow them to warm the saw up. They will get it to temperature. They will turn it off. They will rewind on the starter. They have a set amount of time to do this. And once you hear stand to your timber, they are going to be ready to race. They have to restart the saw. 1 cut down, 1 cut up, 1 cut down. And the saws themselves could have started life as anything. They could have started life as a snowmobile. Particularly a lot of the machines made in the Northern Hemisphere started as Rotax twins or Rotax triples. And they take that, break it up and make it into a chainsaw. Some of the high-performance Honda motorbikes. And also we have another special machine in the wings too. So stand by, don't go anywhere. Looks like we're not too far away from a start. So the mark going onto the block now, 150 mil is the maximum cutting depth into the log with the 3 cuts. And again, if you've been with us earlier, there is a line down the centre of the block which they must have their fingers across that, 4 on each hand across that before they can start. So while the starter's being wound on, it also must be tethered, because as you can imagine, they're not mucking around when they pull the pull start. That thing gets let go, And you can imagine it could probably travel several metres. Some of them have steel handles, so that is part of the game. It's like the safety gear they wear, making sure it has to be in it is part of the rules. And also remember too that if you are using a chainsaw or any other equipment outside, that you have the right gear. Chainsaw Safety Week coming up in May, but make sure you are protected with chaps and boots and glasses and everything that you need. And ear protection if you're using, particularly in petrol saws. Not so much the battery ones, but the petrol ones. But all of that stuff is available from your local STIHL shop. And for those at CD Field Days next week, your STIHL shop will be there. About 7 of them on site with some fantastic deals, but even more the best product if you want outdoor power equipment of any brand, of any type in the world or in New Zealand. Aha! Okay, we warned you they're going to be loud, and that's from a distance. So once we've got them up on stage, it's going to make a fair racket. So if you've got littlies, perhaps cover their ears. It's all right, I can see the youngsters down here with their fingers in their ears are getting ready. We're not ready to go yet, so you can hold off for a little bit longer. But make sure you're ready when we get the saws up on stage. I think that sound in the distance, for those that remember the DB ad, was the Tokarua mating call. That you hear the chainsaw in the distance and everyone heads for it. Usually what happens with hot saw, and looking at the crowds that are just building up against the fences now, is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Oh, and I can get a little bit of a whiff of the fuel. They run STIHL motor mix. Now, if you're not so keen on mixing your own fuel, you can buy mixed fuel that we import from Europe, which has already got the right oil level in it and has an extremely long shelf life, and that's what we use in all the machines at this show. So that's available to you. You can mix your own fuel if you wish. We have all of the high quality oils and STIHL oils that are needed to do that. But if you fancy just having it all done for you, just pop into your STIHL shop, ask for some motor mix, and they will sort you out. And as I say, the whiff coming through, it doesn't actually smell that bad when it's burning. You know, I'd almost imagine that a good chef would use our oil when he's cooking, because by gosh, it doesn't smell too bad. All right, out comes the first saw. Kyle Lemon's just bringing her up onto the stage now, so have a good look. Okay, almost ready for our first. We'll run these singly. We won't be running them in heats of 2. So you can just focus on the one sawyer and see how it goes. Oh, the tension, eh? It's coming. It's coming. We'll just see if we can find the other microphone. Hamish Mackay, if you are nearby, we'd like to grab the microphone if you could. Or is the old trick of walking off with the microphone? Happens every time.
Hot saw. For the hot saw, power saws are called into action, and the athletes have a space of 15 centimeters to cut 3 complete discs off a 46 centimeter thick wooden block. Jumping the start or cutting over the line will result in a disqualification.
Let's welcome our first competitor up. Kyle Lemon it is from Rotorua. Now that saw up there is a Rotax engine. It comes from a 3-cylinder, a triple snowmobile, has a cc capacity of 300cc. It was built in New York State, weighs 28 kilos, and it is one of 4 built for New Zealand competitors only, mainly for Gil and Dion Lane. Of course, Dion, one of the stars in the US circuit some years ago. So it was a snowmobile, now it's become a chainsaw. Doesn't it look good?
Warm up your saw.
Okay, saw to temperature. Now he has to wind on the starter handle, fix the tether. And as I say, these machines are designed for racing only, so there is no cooling system. But if you're only going to run for 6 seconds, who needs a cooling system? Those exhaust systems, called an expansion
30 seconds.
chamber. The expansion chamber is to optimize the fuel usage of the machine. Makes it quite a green sort of a petrol machine, if you like. Hold your ears.
Athlete, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Tell you what, I think he's done a very good job there. That stayed well within the 150 mil. Great start too. The machine just absolutely seemed to be wanting to jump out of its skin to get going. So they'll check those cookies, make sure they're the right shape, fully round. But what a great way to start the hot saw, because you can probably imagine anything can go wrong in the starting process as well. And we may even see it today, but it's always tough if the machine doesn't go.
Okay, the cut is good.
There we go. We've got a goodie. All those cookies with the right shape and the right density. And a good looking saw, well presented it is. Of the way the exhaust system is all polished up, and it's called an expansion chamber. That's the big bit. That's the bit that optimizes the fuel usage. A little skinny bit on the end of the exhaust is called a stinger. So again, for your pub quiz knowledge, so in hot saws, for your knowledge, you need to know what an expansion chamber is. You need to know what a stinger is. You need to know what a Rotax engine might come from. Special chains on these saws, also designed specifically for racing. And no, you can't go to your friendly STIHL shop and buy one of those. You're going to have to be a registered STIHL TimberSports competitor to be able to buy it off STIHL. Even the New Zealand subsidiary just can't order them. They have to be to an approved user. They are a 404 pitch, very high cutter on them. The sort of thing that you might want to cut through 18-inch logs in under 6 seconds. But we'll wait for that first time to come out, get a bit of an idea of how Kyle Lehman has started the proceedings. So the first time up, and I tell you what, she's a beauty too. Kyle Lehman from Rotorua has come in with a 5.84, and in any money, that could be a winning time. You had some experience in this. That is very, very good start to the competition in this particular discipline. It did start as an exhibition discipline, but it was so popular in the European theatre that they decided to make it part of STIHL TimberSports, part of the main event. So the next saw out is going to be Chris Lord, by the look of the order, as a 260cc, another Rotax derived saw. So let's welcome out the man himself, Chris Lord. So the first thing he does is go through, gets his crayon. He puts the lines where he expects to make those cuts. But you can imagine with the amount of reciprocating mass in these saws, sometimes keeping it absolutely straight to hit those marks. A lot easier said than done. So it puts the starter rope onto the sprocket side of the saw.
Warm up your saw.
Okay, so she's definitely in go mode. Look at that still harvester bar on it. As much as this is still TimberSports, but hard to get too many of your parts onto one of these bespoke machines.
30 seconds.
So starter handle in position. Tether being attached. Making sure fuel is on. Everything ready to go.
Athlete, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
We've got a clean start against the legs onto it, makes the three cut down, and she comes out looking clean. We're going to be watching it, but I tell you what, he's got the 3 cookies off. Something for the judges to have a little bit of a look at. As I said, we're trying to get that 5.84 recorded by Kyle Lemon. Brilliant starting time. See whether Chris Lord has done the business. We'll find out right now as Matt Hura asks Chris up to the stage.
The cut is good.
All right, we've got another one in the bag. Another one in the bag. That puts a little bit more pressure on those that are yet to stand up on the stage and make their cuts. Isn't it wonderful that other machines give up their life to become a chainsaw? Of course, it still almost hits 100 years in production next year. There is nothing better than a chainsaw, is there? Especially when you go racing. Right, bit of a job there. Clean up all the chips and the debris, and they're big chips that come out of those chains as well, those 404 chains. Right, we've got something special coming up for you next, something that we haven't actually seen in this competition, but I'll let you know a little bit more once we call on its owner. So Shane Campbell is one of our deck crew, cleans up the face of the block, ready for the next contestant to come in. I can see the saw is up on the stage. And this is something very cool indeed. Have we got any Mazda rotary fans out there? Got a few. I can see a couple of hands going up. You like that barp, barp, barp sort of a sound, don't you? All right, stand by. We've got something coming up that might appeal to you.
Okay, after a review by the judges, it was deemed that Chris has cut on the wrong side of the line, and it is a disqualification. So that's a reversal on his successful cut.
Oh, that's unfortunate. We thought we had 2 in the bag, but maybe not. From where I was sitting, I could see, and I think I mentioned it as we ran through, that crayon line was being a little bit threatened as we came to the end, and it looks like it was. So the crayon marks go on for that 150mm limit, as we saw in that last heat, that 150mm. It's easy to breach it, particularly with so much horsepower, reciprocating mass, and so much speed, making those 3 cuts. You haven't got a lot of leeway. Let's welcome to the stage from Tuatahi Racing Axes and Saws in Masterton. It is Quinton Fawcett. Now this machine is different to anything else we've seen in the competition. It is an Eichsrow Wankel Speed, which is a Wankel or rotary engine that is used in go-karts in Europe particularly. 325cc. The machine is constructed by Jörg Blassi in Germany. It weighs 30 kilos. Quinton's had it for 6 months. It's the best sounding saw in New Zealand, he reckons.
We're running this heat. Warm up your saw.
Oh, that's a new sound to grace the stage, isn't it? The rotary engine invented by a German by the name of Felix Wankel. Before we saw it in NSU cars, and then of course the beloved Mazda rotaries, the 13As, Bs and everything else they produced. Now we've got it in a chainsaw.
30 seconds. Athlete, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, and it can happen. Okay, now's the time for calm heads. Okay, so the time is clicking by as this happens. Thing is to make sure you make the cut. And that's the sound of an Eichsrow rotary, ladies and gentlemen. By gosh, when she bites in, she's got some pace. The big thing is to keep control of it. Unfortunate for Quinton, a starting issue, and it can happen to anyone. We saw it happen to world champion Braden Meyer at one time. We've seen it happen to Sterling Hart. So even the biggest guns can have that happen. But the thing is to make the cuts, get the cookies down and record a time, because a DQ's worth nothing, but points are points. Let's see how we go in the hands of Matt Hura.
Okay, the cut is good.
Oh, well, we've got a time. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. We'll wait until that time comes up. We'll give you a bit of an insight into it, but at the moment, our first run up with Kyle Lemon with that 5.84. Not only a clean cut, but actually a really competitive time to even kick the event off. But really good to have that machine here. That is something we haven't seen here, made in Germany. Jörg Blassi is the constructor, and sounds quite different to all of the other machines we have had running, particularly this one. This is still MS661. Now they'll often trim those logs up, not because the face is not square or there's still the crayon marks on it. If they see a knot that could appear in which would hinder a competitor coming through, they'll cut back past that knot and take it out so there's clear wood for the next person up. So a little bit of clearing up. Move the cookies. Looks like we're just managing to hold off from the little bit of precipitation in the Manawatu air. Not as much precipitation as we've been getting in Queensland for those unfortunate souls over there. Okay, we've got 3 more of the saws to come. Looks like Cleveland Cherry will be next up. Shane and then Jack Jordan. So the time recorded by Quinton Fawcett was 34.25. So let's get our next competitor on, which is Cleveland Cherry. So Cleveland Soar is based off a high-performance motocross bike. It's a Honda 300cc. Starting to see 300 used to be the sort of cap on these, but we're seeing a few others getting up to 330, 350. Obviously, you can go as high as you want. If you can lift it and start the thing and it's got a single cylinder, you can race it. But obviously, it gets to a point where weight overcomes the
Warm up
benefit.
your saw.
Okay, warm up done. Still on the clock.
30 seconds.
30 seconds to go now before the start gets called.
Athlete, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Cleveland Cherry with a good start here. Bikes in for the first cut. He's got a car in front of the big. What's in the third cut now? Straight first time. In an official hot saw competition for Cleveland Cherry. He's been performing well all day as he moves up from the rookie grade in the last few years, being at the top of the table. And of course, it's like when you go to the new school, all of a sudden you're in with the big guys. But I tell you what, he's performed extraordinarily well today. So our judges will have a look. They'll check that line, make sure everything's been cut correctly. And here are having a look underneath. The crane goes underneath too. You can't hide anything.
Okay, the cut is good.
All right, we've got a time in the bag, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a time in the bag, but we'll see whether it can beat Kyle Lemon's 5.84 put in that first heat. Quinton Fawcett delivering a 34.25. That's what happens when you don't get that clean start. So we'll just stand by for a time here for Cleveland Cherry. That's right, a little bit of rain won't hurt us in the minute or two. I think we're hanging out for a bit of rain at the moment. Get that grass growing, get the livestock fed. Gee, some good lamb prices this year, weren't there, eh? Not what we're expecting. But a little bit of rain makes this province rock and roll. Won't hinder us in a bit of still TimberSports either. I can see everyone down there probably work out how to either tolerate the rain or find something just to keep it off. We've got a couple of runs to go, so stand by. Okay, so a time to hand, 9.85 seconds for Cleveland Cherry, enough to put him in that second spot in behind Kyle Lemon. So that's where we stand. With Shane Jordan and Jack Jordan still to come. Yeah, I can feel the water tanks filling up already. That's a good feeling. Make sure you get a chance to look in that merchandise tent. There's still TimberSports merchandise that's in there and still merchandise before you go today. Looks like a few people in there. Don't know if they're buying. They might be sheltering. That's no good. Oh, they've got these little still umbrellas in there. That could be quite useful at this time of the event. But make sure you get in there and take advantage of some of those bargains. They're on sale there, been on sale for the last 2 days. Won't be on sale tomorrow, so you need to make sure you get in. So just like last year, we've got the two that were sitting on top of the leaderboard punching it out again. The two brothers, Shane and Jack Jordan. Same as last year, they're the next two up to finish out the week's competition here at the STIHL TimberSports 2025 National Championship. So let's get him on. Here is Shane Jordan, everyone. Okay, so that saw that you're looking in front of you is a motorbike Honda 350cc built by Dennis Carr in California in the US. It has a brand new cylinder and is bored out because 350 makes it the biggest engine in this competition. Very well presented saw it is too.
Warm up your saw.
So Shane, someone who's had the experience on the big stage in Europe when he took third, took the podium spot, and of course this was part of it. So no stranger to this.
30 seconds.
Yeah, the call of 30 seconds now to the competitor. Doing last approaches, setting carburetors. Tend to use a choke, there's no air cleaner on them, no cooling system.
Athlete, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
That's gonna be quick. Oh, he's shaking his head. I can't see the crayon line. I can't see the crayon line. It was quick though. But was it quick in or was it quick out? We're gonna find out very shortly. Kyle Lemon sits in the bunker, sitting on his 5.84, thinking, my gosh, I could be hitting up the leaderboard again like last year. Oh, that's unfortunate. He's cut out over the limit at 150 millimetre limit, which has meant what was looking like a very good start. Engine went straight away, put the first disc in. The last one was just a little bit too fat for the line. Now, one of the things with the rules which we haven't mentioned is the points do step up on the springboard and they step up even further on the hot saw. So that instead of getting the points that you might accumulate from the underhand or the standing, you're going to pick more up when it comes to the hot saw. And so with those points in hand, Kyle Lemon just falling off in the springboard, but here's an opportunity to put the points back on the board. Remind you of the podium that we saw here in the 2024 New Zealand STIHL TimberSports National Championship with Kyle Lemon on the third rung. Shane on number 2. And our 2024 Rural Sportsman of the Year standing on the top. So are we going to see a repeat of that, or are we going to see that order just moved around a little bit? Only time's going to tell now. We've got one to come.
Your friend told me to go, mate. You shouldn't have been there, so that's why I put it out.
Let's welcome on. He's pretty good. He's pretty much top of the world. Jack Jordan. Okay, so this saw is a 330cc Honda motocross powered chainsaw. So Jack, with that experience on the world stage last year, taking the second position by only a smidgen, could have given us another world championship to add to the 11 we've already got. So he is familiar with this machinery.
Warm up your saw.
All right, we're into the warm-up session. Wraps the starter cord back on. We'll attach the tether.
30 seconds.
Plenty of time to get it ready. Think about it. Tether goes on now. Puts it in position.
Athlete, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, we've got it. Look at it. Right into the line. Puts the second one in. Puts the third one in. He's lining up to make 4. There you have it. Slight hesitation on the third cut, but I'm thinking that's just to make sure that the time is recorded, that the cut's going to be a good one. Probably at the stage of the day, getting the top in this event doesn't mean as much as having the top in the overall standings. But we'll wait and see. Judges have to have the first call on that, whether we go ahead. And here we come. Matt Hura.
Okay, the cut is good.
Now, you don't have to really say much else. Okay, we'll do a little bit of clearing up. We'll go and add up some points. Don't go too far away, because I'm sure you want to know how it's going to finish up. We'll have the prize giving here for you shortly, so come and join us.
Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games are still TimberSports 2025 National Championship. Well, what a cracking finish to this event, and somebody really put his hand up there with the grunt machine. Kyle Lemon, the Sheriff of Murupara. That was a top effort, mate. Good to finish on a high.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a rough day, so I put a lot of work into the hot saw over the last few weeks. So yeah, good to end on a high, but too little, too late.
What's the key to the hot saw then? When you say you put a bit of work in, what do you work on?
Oh, there's a whole number of things. You've got your performance and your processes you go through. You've got chains that have got to be sharpened to a certain point. Got to make sure the damn things go. As you can see, they're pretty temperamental sort of machines, so just got to make sure everything's all in line.
It's pretty impressive, isn't he, that Jack Jordan?
Yeah, pretty hard to beat. He's an exceptional athlete, and congratulations goes out to him for today's effort, so well done.
Good stuff, Kyle. Thank you very much. Kyle Levin there from the Rotorua Heartland part of the world, Murupara, here at the STIHL TimberSport National Championships for 2025.
Thanks, Hamish.
Cheers.
In the first round, all athletes compete in 3 disciplines: the underhand chop, the stock saw, and the standing block chop. The times achieved will be converted into points upon completion of each discipline. In round 1, a difference of 1 point applies in each discipline. Thus, the fastest athlete received 12 points and the slowest only 1 point. Any rule infraction will result in a disqualification, and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. At the end of the first round, the athletes with the lowest scores are eliminated. Only 8 athletes make it to the second round. In this second round, the remaining athletes compete in the single buck and the springboard for increased scores. With 2 points difference between placings, the fastest athlete now receives 16 points and the slowest receives 2. The 2 athletes with the lowest total points are eliminated at the end of round 2. Only the top 6 reach the third round. In the third round, anything is still possible in the hot saw, as an increased score interval of 3 points applies in this final round. The fastest athlete can score up to 18 points at the hot saw, the slowest only 3 points. The athlete who manages to achieve the highest total score across all 3 rounds is the new champion. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes cut through a 32-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides. And here we have the matchups in the underhand chop. In Heat 1, we see the local hero, Alexander Maurice, up against Switzerland's Christoph Geisler. The favorites, Jack Jordan, Nate Hodges, Ben Cumberland, and Cody Steers, are in action for Heats 4, 5, and 6, respectively. And here is our first heat coming on to the stage. Christoph Geisler up against Alexander Maurice, who is absolutely the crowd hero here. And we wait for these guys to get going in the first discipline to open this competition and the Individual World Championships 2024. Here we go. Ooh, a bit of a sticky axe there by Christoph Geisler on the left of the screen. In the red, Alexander Maurice looking very good, though. He's got a clean flow. Who's going to get to the other side of that block first? It's going to be the French favorite, and the crowd goes a bit bananas already early in this competition. Christoph Geisler on the other side of his block now. Who's going to get through there first is looking very good for Maurice, as he is through in a time of 20.60. That's unofficial, of course. Christoph Geisler, 21.26.
out by Cody Steers. He has definitely been working hard to get to this point. Alexander Moise with a nice down cut. Oh, he's staying to win at the upcut. Cody Steers got back quickly, but he is faster. Then he put himself a personal best of 10.42. Moise with a 10.85. Slow start on the stock saw, you know, it probably cost me only 0.2 or 0.3 of a second, but that probably cost me a couple of places.
So, say when to do the...
We'll do that.
Another head-to-head heat between Arnie Kugler and Danny Martin, this time in stock saw. Danny Martin usually pretty solid in the stock saw, and that was a lightning fast pickup by Danny. Arnie Kugler quick on that down cut, but Danny Martin definitely with the advantage here, and the time is looking not too bad for Danny Martin. He won't like that because he's usually pretty faster, but he gave a good fist bump there, so he's got to be happy with the cut, and he is through in a pretty decent time.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's great to be here in Palmerston North with some life-giving rain that we've been waiting for months, and it's just turned up in time to do the awards for the 2025 STIHL TimberSports National Championship. A great event, and it's fantastic to be part of the Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games. So what we need to do is we need to get a few of our competitors up here, and we'll introduce them to you again. You've been watching them all day, and then we'll see who comes out in the order of things. So hopefully we've got them marshalled up near the entrance, and they're listening. That's always a good thing too. So I'd like to welcome to the stage. First, I'm going to ask our two judges to come up, Adam Lowe and Matt Hura. So if they can hear me, if they'd like to quickly come up to the stage. So Matt Hura from Auckland, ladies and gentlemen. In any minute now, we'll find Adam Lowe as well. Here he is from Nelson. He's the man that makes the real big decisions. So, right, let's get our competitors back on. And first up, from Otorohanga, Chris Lord. Next up, from Rotorua, Kyle Lemon. From Stratford, Shane Jordan. From Putaruru, Cleveland Cherry. From Otaki, Hayden Rasmussen. From Waipawa in the fantastic Central Hawke's Bay, Dylan Clark. From Tau Marunui, Jack Jordan. And to bring up our field, from Masterton, Quinton Fawcett. There they are, everyone. They've been working diligently and so hard all day to win this competition. Let's hear a really big round of applause for these guys. Okay, we need to get to some acknowledgements and awards. And I'd like to ask Jochen Spear, the Managing Director of STIHL New Zealand, and Stace Hall, STIHL New Zealand's Marketing Manager, and we've got Steve Hollander, Mr. Rural Games, to come up and give us a hand to do our awards. Now, first up, we have a very, very special trophy, and it is for the single saw. And not long ago, it doesn't seem like long ago, we lost a great friend, a great competitor. He's a family member, he was a colleague in work and everything else. But more than that, he was probably the greatest champion in this sport the world will probably ever see, and that was the late, great Jason Wynyard. So what we want to do is, for the second year, we have a special award, and it is done on the single saw, which of course for Jason was his top event, still holds the world record. And the recipient of the Jason Wynyard Memorial Trophy for 2025 with a time of 10.38 seconds, which is unofficially just outside the world record itself, Jack Jordan. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Steve. Okay. Who are the top three? Who are on the podium out of this fine bunch of sportsmen? In third position, in his first year in the senior category from Putaruru, Cleveland Cherry. Okay, in second position, our most experienced New Zealand team member on the world stage. Please welcome from Stratford, Shane Jordan. And we're waiting for it in first position, and quite frankly, the superlatives are more than I can remember off the top of my head. 2024 Rural Sportsman of the Year, second on the podium in the World Championships last year, thrice Champions Trophy in Stihl TimberSports. Please welcome to the top of the podium from Taumarunui, Jack Jordan. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Here are the contenders, and here are the winners of the 2025 Pro Series Men's Stihl TimberSports National Championship. What a great effort. What a great effort. Thanks to all of the helpers who have made this so good. The deck crew, the timers, the analysts. Des up there running the big screen. We couldn't do it without you. Fantastic event. And of course, thanks to you, the audience. You'll be able to see this on Sky Sport as an edited highlights package, reasonably extended. And to those that have been watching on the live stream, thanks for having us for the day. God bless, Godspeed, good luck, and we will see you here next year.
Ford Ranger New Zealand Rural Games, our Stihl TimberSports champion for 2025, Jack Jordan. Jack, you must be very happy with that result. You're up against a great crew of competitors, but a pretty dominant performance.
Yeah, no, real happy with how the day went. It's a lot of pressure that sort of comes on this one day to qualify us to go overseas. You know, if you have a bad day here, that'll sort of stuff your season up for wood chopping, TimberSports. So to come away with a win, a few of the events were probably a bit ugly, but yeah, to still come away with a win, I'm really happy, yeah.
I didn't see too much ugly there. What were your concerns? What did you think you might need to improve on today's performance?
Oh, I struggled a bit in the springboard. I sort of lost a few points there and had a pretty bad bottom board, so I was probably lucky to get away with one there. And then yeah, a lot of pressure come down to that hot saw there. I've yeah, probably feel more pressure when I've just got to make a cut rather than having to beat a time. It's a bit of a funny feeling, that one, but yeah, really happy to get the job done.
Yeah, I noticed that springboard was a little bit wonky, but you were very focused on the hot saw on your third cut there. I just saw you really pulled up and thought, I've got to nail this. No point in buggering it up right now.
Yeah, no, I knew before I went out I just need to make a time, but sometimes that, you know, puts more pressure on you to do something that you'd think would be quite easy. But yeah, to just make a time like that, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on that third cut, yeah.
Look, you won a few titles along the way, but I guess this means as much as the last one and the next one.
Well, for sure, it sort of sets you up for the year. I'm really looking forward to getting overseas and competing against the rest of the world, yeah.
Our still TimberSports champion for 2025, Jack Jordan.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. You've got Mark's just here. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, same. Mine's still going live, is that?
And mine is too.